Welcome back to the Dividend Diplomats YouTube channel and possibly what, Bert, the YouTube podcast in case you guys are listening here on YouTube, right, Bert?
That's right here. What we've done is on our channel, we've posted 5 videos every week for probably 4 or 5 months now, Lanny. We started doing a Monday stock quick picks, but we wanted to experiment with the format, do it more podcast friendly, especially since YouTube is now the home of Google Podcasts. They canceled the Google Podcast app, merged it into YouTube Music. So we thought, why not? Let's have some fun. Let's have our Monday videos just being more podcast friendly style.
Yeah, let's do a little testing here to see if we can reach more of you guys out there, guys. So this is episode 2
Ooh.
of stock news, stock market news for what happened the week of June 10th through June 14th. We've got about 4 action-packed topics here to talk about that we'll quickly go through, and really to see your guys' reactions as well. So depending on what you're listening on, if you guys can leave comments too throughout the video, definitely appreciate you guys' feedback. But we also appreciate you guys smashing that subscribe button, giving this a nice thumbs up. Let's get out to all the dividend investors out there. But Bert, we had about, really I call it four fun headlines here to talk about this week that rocked a few stocks in the market, some up, some down, some flat, but let alone made some noise here.
Yeah, there's going to be a fun one. And we talked about the first one we're going to talk about, we talked about in episode 1 of our podcast. So make sure you stop by from there, see our reactions. And that week, now this one will be a little bit more interesting one, Lanny, because there was a major development, a major happening in the story of somebody that was making a lot of noise in the investor world over the last few weeks.
We got to bring out Keith Gill. Roaring Kitty is back, guys. Not just back today, but essentially has been making more headway with his X/Twitter posts, his Reddit posts with deep effing value, guys. And hey, he disclosed that first off, he was hodling, guys. He was holding on for dear life with his, at the time, 5 million shares and 120,000 option contracts, which
He's like
each
the
contract represents 100 shares.
That's right. It's like the cat I'm hanging in there. I'm hanging in there. And he had the expiration date was coming. It was still a few it would have been next week, right? It was the 23rd, I think, was the expiration of the option. So
21st this Friday, guys.
21st. Yeah, so it had been this Friday. So to your point, Lanny, things were moving, things were happening, and things were getting a little nerve-wracking for him, especially as you saw those wild fluctuation in GameStop's price.
The price was fluctuating anywhere from like 25 to 32, I think, throughout majority of the week. And then we come to find out he has not 5 million shares anymore, but 9,001,000 shares and no more stock options on GameStop. So he sold those options and used a significant amount of the proceeds to acquire 4,001,000 shares to bring it up to that 9,001,000 share threshold. Now, why is 9,001,000 so odd?
Well, it's odd that he picked my lucky number for the number of shares that he was going to own. No, but in all seriousness, there was a lot of symbolism, and the symbolism wasn't lost on people. And I'm pretty sure it was done here intentionally because the amount matches Ryan Cohen's previously total owned shares, which was what, in 2020, before the whole meme stock madness began. Meme stock really picked up in 2021, 2022. So you're Keith Gill, you're Roaring Kitty, you're targeting GameStop. You have Ryan Cohen sitting there with the number of shares. 4 years later, you're sitting there with just a few more shares than him. What a twist of fate. That's what made that such a meaningful number.
So same number of shares that Ryan had, guys, 4 years ago. And, he posted up some very funny, pictures on X earlier as well with himself as Michael Scott shaking a hand, with the little kitty in his pocket and GameStop on the patch. And then all of a sudden, the annual meeting that GameStop was having was abruptly canceled on Thursday and Thursday night, and then due to difficulties, and then rescheduled We're midday on today, guys. Essentially, what we're recording this here on Sunday on Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to everybody. But essentially here on the 17th, there's going to be a 12:30 p.m. Eastern time annual meeting. And then there are a few other little Easter eggs that he's been planting. One possibly GameStop has planted in the copyright part of their website at the bottom. I don't know if you guys know about that. So Bert, no longer owning options. Roaring Kitty has 9 million shares. GameStop stock finished just fine at 28.70 for the week. So pretty much flat, but at one point was riding up over 32 a share. What are we making of this? I know we've talked about it, but let's talk about it here on the channel.
Easter eggs are there for a reason, right? People put them in movies. GameStop does them together for a reason. The symbolism isn't lost on this now, is it, Lanny? Of what could possibly be coming with Roaring Kitty.
Are we thinking board seat, Bert?
I mean, that's the rumor mill saying, right? Rumor mill saying Roaring Kitty's going to be a member of the board. He's teasing it. The website's teasing it. It makes sense. I mean, think about it. What did he want to show? Like, he matched the number of shares. He wanted to show his ability to disrupt the company. Succeeded there, both. Check, check. He wanted to show how big of an influence he was on the company and how he could change strategy. He could change corporate structure of the company. Check.
He obviously helped them in capital raise.
Yeah. So he's helped them there. He shored up their balance sheet. They have much more cash now. They have a chance to actually turn the company around. And putting him on the board in exchange for cutting out the options and turning it into equity is probably a way for them to lock in the period where there's not a lot of volatility. Because if you're on the board, you're not going to come in and wreak havoc on the company's stock price.
Yeah,
that's my thing. That was, to me, the biggest benefit.
So, guys, what's your guys' take? Let us know in those comments on what you guys think Roaring Kitty is up to. If you're listening to this here in the next few hours, we'll probably know a heck of a lot more by midday today, guys. All
Yeah.
right. So now that one's done, let's segue into another one that's making some, big splashes as well.
Yeah. So Elon Musk, Elon Musk is Elon Musk, and he has a lot of things going on. But
Over 200 billion in net worth.
Yeah, 200 billion in net worth, and let's just say he got a little bit more in the net worth column because one of the hottest contention things has been his compensation package and how the company's structured. And I believe Tesla has been caught up in forever because they're incorporated in Delaware. And one of the unique things about Delaware is your executive pay has to be voted on. And he was awarded, he had an executive compensation plan of $56 billion. And there's been some contention going on with that, Lanny. It took a while for this thing to get approved.
Yeah, essentially this package was given to him back in 2018. It's a 10-year deal with milestones and whatnot. And, the company's pretty much gone 10x on the market cap standpoint. A lot of different performance targets within that plan. But in that compensation package was, 303 million options to acquire Tesla stock with a price of, I believe, $23. So the delta right now is pretty handsome for Elon Musk.
So it took a while, but it was finally passed. I think they had over 72% of the people voted on it. So they finally flipped over who they needed to end the noise that came along with it. But it represents a lot. I know a lot of people were obviously happy. The executives are happy because it showed the executive comp packages are going through. It was initially struck down because people thought it was an exorbitant amount of money for any executive to have in any executive compensation. So it's finally there. And whether you agree or disagree, you can at least say, to your point, what you highlighted earlier, Lanny, Elon Musk definitely added value to Tesla shareholders. Just look at the stock price from when it was awarded to where it is now. You can't say he didn't deliver a lot of money for Tesla and Tesla shareholders.
Yeah, exactly, guys. So the shareholders voted yes. He had no problem, going out to X to thank everybody. Again, in January, they invalidated his award, but passed it in June. So he is good for right now with his compensation package. So Tesla shareholders are still a fan of Elon Musk.
Elon doesn't have to buy ramen anymore. He can go back to eating his regular meals now with that comp package.
Goodness. Actually, knowing Elon, he probably eats ramen just because he's like, I
Oh,
don't
I'm
care.
sure. Yeah, I would
Um,
if I were
but
him.
all right, so next one, guys. If you didn't catch our Sunday episode, this one has to be talked about just because there's probably a lot of Paramount Global, ticker symbol PARA shareholders out there. And the song and dance may have just crossed a new chapter. Not sure if the story is over here. But essentially, Skydance offered to buy Paramount, Class B shares, 50% of them at 15 a share, to take on 1.5 billion of debt, to give Sherry Redstone, who is the voting majority owner at 77% through natural or national amusements, give her 2 billion, and the total value is essentially 7.5 to about 8 billion. And then Bert, what happened? What did Sherry decide to do?
It's like your wrestling heel turn that you're not expecting, right? Like it's like she just went to Skydance and smacked them in the back when they weren't looking with a steel chair. Like the old Seth Rollins to Roman Reigns, just hit him from behind with the chair. She ultimately at the last minute decided she didn't want this, didn't want the deal. And there wasn't enough value for her. And it seemed like at the end of the day, her power in the Class A share structure where she holds 77%, she flexed her muscle and said, this deal's not getting it done for me. So she canceled it. She pulled out of the talks. The Skydance talks ended for the second time here in 2024. And it's unfortunate because what happened to the stock price after she pulled out, Lanny?
Oh, that's their price did not react favorably to that. So bad that now, Paramount stock, gosh, I know it finished down again on Friday. It's trading at $10.17. This week it finished down 15%. This year it's down 29%. So we are suffering big time as Paramount shareholders, guys. This is one that, Bert and I discussed it yesterday, but, been trying to write some covered calls on it, trying to get a little bit of some premium back, just to earn something.
Yeah, what's frustrating is if she turned down the deal that would have given us Class B shareholders $15 because it wasn't giving her enough. Who, what acquisition is going to come through that's going to pay the Class B shareholders 15 again? Because why would you give those people shareholders? You know whose hands you have to grease here, and it's not the Class B shareholders, it's the Class A.
Blasphemy.
Blasphemy. That's right. All right. Let's move off Paramount. Let's move off of Paramount into our last topic here. Um, it's another
Oh
stock that
man,
didn't have a best week, Lanny.
not the best week. Stock was down a couple percent on TKO, guys, the company that owns and manages WWE wrestling and UFC fighting. Some big headline news, especially in the UFC universe here, was that Conor McGregor, Dana White came out to essentially postpone, I believe is right now, the fight of Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler because of Conor's quote unquote injury right now. And, despite what anybody believes in, Conor is a big money draw
Yeah.
for UFC. His The merchandise, the ticket sales, the pay-per-view sales, just people watching in
Yeah.
general. You get non-fans to watch because it's Conor. Obviously, Conor has had a blow up with
Sure.
the movie that he was in with Jake Gyllenhaal. We watched it. It's funny with Roadhouse. Um, and But yeah, so now UFC, they're not main eventing it, and fans are not happy, which
No.
ultimately could impact a company.
Yeah, I mean they're even though they're up 30% year to date, they're down this week 2%. And it could be a slow summer. And I think that's what TKO is going to run into because you said it best, Lanny. People wanted to watch Conor McGregor. People want to see it, no matter how great of the rest of the card is, no matter how great your like middle tier fighters are. Fighting in WWE are kind of the same in this. It's always going to be a superstar driven event. The superstars are going to draw the people there, and that's how you learn about all the other mid carders and see who's going to pop up. So the return of Conor McGregor, whatever you think about him, no matter what you thought the fight was going to be is going to draw the biggest headlines. Kind of like how The Rock did with WrestleMania. Like, think about where WWE was um at the end of 2023, dealing with all the scandals, dealing with like they didn't really know what the story was going to be. They just had Cody Rhodes. They didn't know how it was going to finish out. And then The Rock came in and everything just exploded because it's the freaking Rock. It's Dwayne Johnson. He's a superstar, and superstars drive everything in these big fighting matches.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It doesn't seem like we'll have The Rock at SummerSlam here in Cleveland, Ohio. So it'll be very interesting, as Bert indicated. It could be a quiet summer on the fighting front, which could impact not just stock performance.
Yeah.
Again, it's about financial performance, revenue, and profit for TKO. But yeah, so those were some headlines. And guys, what do you guys think about? Were you planning to watch first off Conor McGregor's fight here that was supposed to happen in a couple weeks versus Michael Chandler? Are you still planning on watching it if there's a future fight? What are you guys doing with your Paramount stock? And who here is a Tesla or GameStop shareholder or option holder? Let us know in the comments below.
Yeah, and again, we know we're testing out this new format, this new podcast style, and we're uploading it to YouTube Music too, just as experiment with us. If you have any feedback for us, please just message us, send us an email. We'd love to hear your feedback on what we could do to make the podcast style videos better for all of you and enjoying your experience, because we push out the videos, but let us know what you think hearing it in the podcast style format.
Thanks again, everybody. Again, subscribe, like the video. And if you ain't with us, you're against us, Jack. That was Bert the Hurt and Lanny from the Dividend Diplomats. Over and out.